Hello and welcome to Sami Parvez Show. Today I'm joined by Donovan Eckstrom from Alberta. We will be discussing about the latest political issues in Canada and the US. As there is an speculation that Justin Trudeau will replace Chrystia Freeland is finance minister with Mark Carney. His prime minister himself confirmed he spoke with Mark Carney to join his liberal government. And also the latest development from US, there are some speculation that Joe Biden will step aside from Democrats presidential nominee candidate in this Sunday, but it is not yet confirmed. But and also there was a failed assassination attempt on former U.S. President Trump. Thank you so much, Donovan, to having you again on Sami Parvez Show. It's a great honor and privilege for me that you are always here.
Sammy, I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's been busy. I've been a little bit busy,
Yeah.
but it's been hot out here up in northern Alberta. It's been
Mhm.
quite warm. But now I got a little bit of free time. Of course, I'll do what I can to
Yeah.
chat with you, good sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it, sir. But it has been long time, I believe, not one couple of weeks after having you again.
And nothing really big happened in those 2 weeks. It's been pretty nondescript. Everything's been kind of low key, really. Not too much has happened in the world of politics or really anything, right?
Yeah, but I believe south in the south of the border something big happened. Like they tried to like it was
There
a
was
failed
actually
attempt.
there was a little bit of there's a tongue in cheek thing, but
Yeah.
yes, no, there's a bit to discuss for sure, for sure. But
Hmm.
I think how about we do a little first off, let's
Hmm.
talk sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of a sports and entertainment rundown. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts on that, Sammy?
Yeah.
Any big sporting things? Anything happening in the world of
Uh,
what you've been watching?
yeah, my mostly focus in cricket, so I have been watching right now, but like West Indies versus England. So West Indies recently toured England. So they are playing a test match. I know like people don't like test match, but test cricket is the cricket. It has been,
It
like 5 days long matches.
yeah, because I think they finished the second day. I think
Yeah.
that they, but yeah,
Today,
West Indies kind of making a pushback. We'll see if
yeah.
they can. But yeah, like that's kind of. I saw a cricket match once
Mm-hmm.
in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and it was a test cricket thing, and nobody pays attention. Everybody's kind of getting drunk,
Mm-hmm.
and then occasionally looking at the field and then
Yeah.
cheering, and then everybody kind of just goes back, which I thought it was very neat. It was like a big event. Everybody comes on out for the next like 8 hours, and
Mm-hmm.
then they leave, and then they come back the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been that's we'll see if England can hold off on a test cricket.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's what cricket is.
Yes.
Test cricket is cricket. That is the fundamentals of it.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
it's it's
know.
what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, like you watch ever heard Ashes? Ashes is versus England versus Australia. It back, I don't know when, like, but it has been over a century, maybe 18th century or 19th century. They started this Ashes, like they
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 get the
play
cup,
like
yeah.
five test matches.
You get the little cup.
Yeah,
You get
yeah, little that
the little
cup.
thing that has the ashes in it. Yes,
Yeah.
the ashes is it's a
Mm-hmm.
tremendous. Well, and I said there's a spectacle to it that I think you
Yeah.
lose a little bit in your
Yeah.
in sort of the sped up versions of
Mhm.
cricket where it's done in a couple hours instead of it being. But and I'm happy that it's still going too. Right?
Mhm.
That yeah.
Yeah, but since they introduced this T20, like I thought might be cricket would be destroyed. Yeah, it is almost been destroyed, but due to the we have these Ashes and West Indies, India, like these folks are just like it means they always love test cricket because of like these 5 6 countries, so the cricket is alive. Otherwise, it would be dead very soon, but I hope it won't be anytime.
Yeah, no, it's and it's I always said I like to watch it. I like to tune in and see what's kind of going on. It was a COVID thing, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this game's actually quite enjoyable. And then sort of learning a little bit more about it,
yeah,
particularly as a North American. But it's already, like North America's getting their little cricket league started, which is kind of fun. And
yeah.
um, but yeah, do you like CFL, Sammy? Do you like the CFL? Do you
CFL,
watch?
yeah. So I did not watch it, but I think I was just looking for a scores one day. So my favorite team is Saskatchewan Roughriders. That's why as I live there. So I think they are not playing very well at this season. What's your take?
Well, they've been, yeah, like Saskatchewan. Well, the Rough Riders are, well, let's like, because I'm an Edmonton Elks fan, and they've been very bad.
Yeah.
Um, Rough Riders have been pretty good this year, though. I think they have a pretty good winning record. The problem with them, though, is that all their home games are taking place on weird days, like like in the middle of the week,
Mm-hmm.
on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Usually people drive in, right? They get a lot of fan bases there. But I think the Rough Riders are pretty fine. Um, it's really at the bottom of the barrel has been Edmonton and Hamilton. The Blue Bombers have been bad, but Edmonton's making a shift.
Mm-hmm.
They're making a big push. They got rid of their coach and
Oh.
GM.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that turns out
Mm-hmm.
that the moment when people see this,
Mm-hmm.
that the Edmonton Elks are on a playoff bound winning streak. And
Mm-hmm.
we can only pray for that. Can
Mm-hmm.
only pray for that. But Saskatchewan seems fine. That's they said they're having attendance issues, but it's just the scheduling's been really kind of not too great with them. But,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
but
but I also forgot to mention about like it is not Euro Championship, and also like Copa America, like Cup, like Canada qualified until like semi-final, but they lost. And it won by none other than Argentina, which is the most like world top team. And on the other side in Euro 24 won by Spain. So they are also like one of the top favorite team, like they are yeah, they're world
yeah,
champ.
it seems the favorites are doing what they do. You're not having any shock in sports, really. I think even for cricket, back to cricket at the Asia Cup, I think India won quite handily against Pakistan. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's everything's kind of as is. Argentina for a decade plus had always choked, and now they're winning everything. Spain handily defeats England as if,
England,
yeah,
yeah.
we're really not too shocked by a lot of that stuff. And it's sort of the same thing. CFLs, Saskatchewan's looking good. The
Yeah.
bad teams are bad. The
Mhm.
good teams are good in the world of sports. I don't think there's too much too much shaking of the proverbial palm tree
Mhm.
to see what's happening there. And then of course we can talk about entertainment. I was watching a Bollywood movie
Mhm.
last night, Sammy. I was watching Sholay,
Yeah.
the 1970s Bollywood classic,
Yeah.
and it was very entertaining.
Yeah,
I would.
it is one of the oldest movie and very classic. Like I heard, now I don't recall, but their director or writers were talking when at the time of the release, so it was not hit. They wanted to, the guy who died, I think his name is Jay. So Jay or Vijay, I don't know, I don't recall their names now, but they wanted to just make him alive again, just rearrange those scenes and things. So let's do it. But suddenly this got hit, and now it is one of the top classic movie in Bollywood history. So lots of my memories are there. Like I used to watch it when I was a kid, but still whenever I get a chance, so I watched it. I don't recall the last time, but I always plan to watch this movie again.
It was shockingly funny. Like
Yeah.
like a lot of the dialogue was like had me chuckling. Like when the one guy's talking to his aunt and
Hmm.
trying to like convince her that this
Yeah.
dirtbag is, and like just like he keeps talking, and it's just like you're making the situation worse. Like, oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, he's unemployed. Well, sort of unemployed. He might make money. He's a degenerate gambler and he drinks he's a drunk. Oh, don't worry. He's only gambles when he drinks and he makes bad decisions when he gets drunk. And you're like, this is very funny. The dancing, the what's the Mabuba? That's a great little
Yeah.
that whole it's just it's a bit long. I
Mhm.
think as a North American movie watcher, I like to have my movies at that tight 90 minutes. It is about, I think, 3.5 hours long, but
Yeah.
I was still like entertaining. It was beautifully shot. Like India is a stunningly like all beautiful country.
Yeah.
A lot of those like big open scenes. It looks like something from like a spaghetti western.
Mhm.
And yeah, just I recommend Cholet. And of course, my next goal is to watch Mirzapur. I'll try my best to give a watch of that, and then I'll figure out the joys of the Bollywood machine, Sammy. I'm going to
Mhm.
be fully in that.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe they whenever they watch this show and try to interview you.
Yeah, the Canadian. I'll
The
be the number
Canadian
one.
man is inspired by Bollywood movies.
Maybe I should start going down that route. Make some Bollywood flicks. That might be kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But enough about that. Enough
Mm-hmm.
about we got that sports and entertainment. A nice rundown on that. Let's get politicking,
Yeah,
Sammy. I mean, quite an eventful last week at the very least. Canadian wise, nothing too crazy to report.
yeah,
Uh,
but we learned there are some speculation that Trudeau is trying to throw the throw Chrystia Freeland under the bus. I don't know, like she's being blamed for not being impactful, and like not. It seems like it means liberals are not doing well under Trudeau's leadership. Somebody should be blamed. Back in Jody Wilson-Raybould, Jane Pelport, Belmorny, all were just thrown under the bus. Now it's the times for Chrystia Freeland or somebody else should be gone to be blamed, and Trudeau must survive his empire.
It's and you're seeing too, like Seamus O'Regan, like you're seeing
Yeah.
some people's like really high profile people dropping. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the whole concept of rats and sinking ships, trying to whatever, you just try to get out and survive as much as you can.
Yeah.
But like it's not good. But you can't help but think in the back of your mind
Mm-hmm.
about how you know a year is a long time
Mm-hmm.
in the world of politics,
Yes.
right? The next election isn't until 2025, unless the NDP pull the plug, and that's an interesting thing in and of itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if if there's an ouster, right, or if Trudeau really sits down and like doubles down and says, I'm doing this, he's a good campaigner. Like,
Yeah.
regardless of how you might feel about
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau, when it comes to campaign time, he
Yeah.
does a pretty good job at speaking well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a year is a long time, and Pierre Polyev is doing a little dance right now
Mm-hmm.
where he's trying to balance keeping the hardcore conservatives happy
Mm-hmm.
and still trying to appeal to sort of the moderate Canadian. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a balancing act that I don't really wish upon anybody. In a year is quite, you can say
Yeah,
something
it is
dumb
a long time.
and
It,
say something dumb. Like you say something silly, you say
yeah.
something like a little too far,
Mm-hmm.
and then Trudeau's going to have a field day. As I said,
Yeah.
he's a good campaigner.
Yeah.
And there's already, caucus uncomfortableness in the Conservatives with, Arnold Viersen, the pro-life
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
having to sort of quintuple down about, and so we'll see what happens in the next little bit. But yeah, like I don't know if Trudeau, if throw everybody under the bus, be
Yeah.
the only one there. You can run, if you want to have a cabinet where you're the only member, that might
Mm-hmm.
be kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you are right. Like um, Seamus O'Regan, yeah, he just resigned. I believe it was just today. He said that he will announce his resignation. But I mean, they were speaking back in on Canada Day. He informed the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau he is going to resign. But I believe no one will remain in the sinking ship. It is almost done. Trudeau maybe like lose badly, but with respect to the current polls, as you mentioned, like anything could happen. Like we have a year, more than a year. October 2025 is still long way to go. But I don't know, like if Trudeau, maybe Trudeau is also trying to recruit Mark Carney, the former governor of Bank of Canada and Bank of England, but he's not giving a good indication to Trudeau because he does not want to be in under Trudeau's leadership, because it means we know like Trudeau is not doing very well at this time. But I don't think if there were some speculation. I think you recall at the time there were some speculation that Mark Carney may run for the leadership, but at the time he declined. Like he said, no, Trudeau is the best leader for the Liberal Party. But I think Mark Carney won't take this decision right now. It is my personal observation, because if he wants to lead the Liberal Party in near future, so he's not going to run under Trudeau, because Trudeau is doing very poorly under the polls. Like we have seen, everything is just going crazy, and like recently they just like flip flop on their own immigration policies. They said now Mark Miller, the Minister of Immigration, is saying, yeah, you don't need to stay here. You have to go to your home. Just he's saying to the international students. I mean, it means before they said, yeah, everyone is welcome. This is anti-racism and anti-Asian racism. Like calling the international student to go back home. But now they are saying, no, you cannot stay. I think you may read a couple of 2 days ago, like Bloomberg report. They did an interview with Mark Miller. Like Bloomberg did an interview with Mark Miller. So Mark Miller made it clear. So they are just changing their policies very soon, because it impacted a lot. They misused the it means they misused these policies. Many folks around the world, especially from South Asia, I believe mostly from India. So it means now thumbs up, like in Prince Edward Island, also like calling out those protesters. Yeah, it's time up, and now you need to go. I was reading a report of CBC News. There it was also clearly mentioned. Those students were saying we did not hear any positive response from government, and government already told them that enough is enough. Now we are not going to take anything, and we are not going to change our policies. So it seems like that the time is up for the international student. Let's get back Canada back. I don't say that immigrants are not welcome here, but the thing is this: we are in under the crisis. As myself has been unemployed for almost 7 months, and I had fellow Canadian citizen. I had an interview with him who was saying that he is like unemployed for over 11 months. Like there are many folks, maybe you heard from your community or family member and friend, they are saying the same thing. We are unemployed and the housing crisis is going up. Like we need to, like the government, I think, put all its resources and interest resolving the issues of Canadian. What do you say?
Well, and it's what I've said before, is that like you if you can feasibly take
Yeah,
that many immigrants
yeah.
if you have a plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just sort of be like 90% of migrants go to one of
Yeah,
5 cities,
yeah,
and that becomes a big issue that
yeah,
starts to take place. Like when I was living in Edmonton, I
yeah,
lived across the street from a slumlord. Like
yeah.
he ended up getting shot. Like
Mm,
he was sort of this guy that owned a bunch of these apartments and would essentially slumlord that out. And there were people that were like 10 people living in a house, and that's not very fair
yeah,
for
yeah,
anybody involved, right? And then
yeah.
it's you start to lose a lot of that. And it
Mm,
said, like, you just have to be smart and plan it. You
mm,
can't just start, as I mentioned, high level. You
yeah,
know, there's rural communities
yeah.
across this country that desperately need to
Need
have an
that.
influx
Yeah,
of people
yeah.
to come in. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't plan it, and this is what's already happening,
Yeah,
right? I think
yeah,
Canada's I think we're deporting
yeah,
the most since early Harper years.
yeah,
I think it's the most in a couple of decades of deportations, and sort of increasing that up. And
yeah,
it's a fault of the federal government. It's a fault of the federal government thinking that we can just bring these people in. The Bank of Canada said it's unsustainable,
yeah,
and we're seeing it already taking place here, where people are taking you start to run out of that space.
yeah.
If there was an ounce of logical thought, Sammy, in
Mm-hmm.
the federal government, they would
Oh,
have said, okay, you can come here. You're going to go to Churchill, Manitoba. You're going to go to High Level, Alberta.
yeah,
You're going to go to Fairview, Alberta. You're going to go
yeah,
to the Northwest Territories. You're going to go to
yeah,
this, and then you would be fine. Like, it's a
yeah,
thing that, like, I've mentioned it. Like, the Lebanese Civil War happened in the 70s. There was an influx, like hundreds of thousands of people coming in. Where did they go? They didn't all go to Toronto.
yeah,
Nobody all went to Toronto and just stayed there. They
yeah.
went to Mayerthorpe, Alberta. They went to Edmonton, which was, I think Edmonton was a good viable place, but now it's starting to feel the crunch of too many people in too short of a time. You need to
Mm,
have the infrastructure in place,
yeah,
and yeah, you're seeing the feds are realizing that it's not working. And if you kind of keep with this mindset, you're going to be in trouble. And it is that is quite a striking chart when you see sort of the G7 countries
mm-hmm.
by like immigrants
Yeah,
like numbers, and
mm,
it's sort of everybody's kind of goes up a little bit or stays fairly firm, and then Canada is just sort of like a
yeah.
straight
There
line
is
up
a
with like a
big
one
spike. Yeah.
over a million. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not sustainable. It doesn't make sense when there's people that are. And I think that's what the feds are doing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. You just have to have a plan. Like, it just feels like nobody has a plan, and it
The
drives me
plan,
off the
yeah.
wall.
I
But
think that's why some people are calling there should be a big shuffle in the PMO. They may fire our Katie Kelford. She is the chief of staff to Prime Minister. Like it means they don't have any planning. Recently what do we call? I don't know. A former minister. He also criticized Justin Trudeau's leadership because he said he's not a good leader. Now I don't recall his name. He was a minister. He just recently published a book. It means I think there is no seriousness. Like I think you do recall like back in 2017 when Trudeau put out tweet, everyone is welcome to Canada beyond you are running from war or despite from being any religion, race or color, like you are very welcome to Canada. More than 100,000, I think, people jumped in Canada, like from Quebec, the Wrexham Road, that is called.
yeah, they're that little straight. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. From there, like they set up a camp. I don't know. They spent if I'm not wrong, maybe millions of dollars from there. Like there was recently a report like they are paying like around $240, something like that, to each those illegal immigrants who are jumping in Canada. Like it seems like they just keep spending money and they don't have a proper plan. And there was also another report now. Liberal government is trying to make this deportation faster to just get rid of those folks who are not eligible to get in. By yeah, you were saying about you were talking about yesterday's Toronto Sun, no, Toronto Star report. They said there is a mass deportation, but I don't know, there should be some changes, like they should take some responsibility and do something well for the well-being of Canadian and Canadian taxpayer. Like it is not happening.
It's good to have a plan.
Mm,
You said you could probably do. Canada's a big country, Sammy.
yeah,
We're a very large country.
yeah,
We could probably do. We could probably survive an influx
yeah.
of like a million, but when you just don't have a plan, and
Mm-hmm,
then you're shocked that it's not working, and
mm-hmm,
then it just sort of puts the crux on the Canadians in terms of taxpayers. And now you're like, oh yeah, obviously this didn't work out too well. We got to increase deportation. You're like, all right, like it's irritating.
Yeah.
It's quite irritating. Now, I guess that said, nothing really crazy happened federally. Provincially, it's kind of the same thing. I think everything, the BC Conservatives are getting a little closer, but the BC United's fallen out. Saskatchewan Party is going to probably get another majority, but it's smaller. In Saskatchewan, I'm just reading quickly. New Brunswick, similar, where they go back and forth. They'll elect a Conservative and then they elect a Liberal. So like there's nothing really crazy happening provincially that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I was hearing from Rhino Party President Sebastian. I think you know this gentleman from
Of course, Sebastian Corriveau, my good friend. He is the dear leader, the dear dealer.
Yeah,
Sebastian.
You are saying I think they are going to run many candidates in this Montreal by-election in LaSalle, right? I think. Yeah, so it should be called before July 30th, but the CBC was saying they did not air yet. It means they contacted PMO. They said they like Trudeau did not confirm that when he's going to announce it, but it will be announced anytime soon. I think Trudeau is just looking to air a confirmation from Mark Carney, but it's my prediction. My prediction always goes wrong. So don't take it seriously. But I'm pretty sure Mark Carney is not going to run under Trudeau's leadership, and he's not going to take this Montreal by-election. And Montreal by-election in LaSalle will be a three-way race. It could be Liberal, it could be NDP or Bloc Québécois. But Bloc Québécois is a stronghold in Quebec. And since the fall of Liberals' numbers in the polls, it means they are doing pretty well. At one point, they were about to make official opposition if an election was called on that particular with respect to that poll, So it means these things are happening, but I'm pretty sure Liberal will lose again in this Montreal by-election. My question is with respect to Rhino Party, how is serious Rhino Party in this by-election?
Oh, well, of course, it's the most serious. We're the Rhinos will do what we do best. It is the political party that I am a part of. I'm a card-carrying member of the Rhinoceros Party. Of course, the long ballot. This is probably the last one. There's rumblings that there will be sort of legislation that'll be put into place to prevent, but like that'll be an interesting thing to see what happens there. But as said, it gets a discussion going. We wouldn't have talked if it wasn't for the long ballot.
Yeah,
So we'll see we'll see. I don't think it's going to be as long. I think Toronto, is going to be the biggest one. They're gonna try. I'm kind of on the outside of this. I just get emails every once in a while, so I don't really have an super insider look at things. But I think that the goal, of course, is to try to make it as long as possible. Break 100 would be kind of exciting. But we'll see. It's the Toronto one worked out really well because that was a plan from like the get-go. Like they gathered the signature. Like it was all set up way in advance. It was like, okay, we're gonna get this confirmed. This LaSalle one is very like last second, it feels like, because they're gonna call the election and then it's all, I don't know if we'll have enough time to get as much, but we'll see what occurs for how long the ballot will be.
But could you please tell me how many candidates Rhino Party ran in an election?
Well, so typically we're in about like the couple dozen, about just around 30 or so. The biggest was in 1980 when the Rhino Party was the third most popular party in Canada. We had 1%, or fourth most popular, had 1% of the vote and had candidates almost across the country. I think over 100. 1984, I think, had the most which was I think just under 200. So yeah, typically Rhino Party gets around 30 candidates per election. But I have a couple of people up here in the Grand Prairie area that are interested in running. So we'll try to get a little thing up in Peace River, Westlock, North Peace, Yellowhead. Yeah, the more people talk about it, I keep hearing more rumblings. So there's a lot of people reaching out that are wanting to run, and I think that is always an exciting thing. It's fun to be a bit of a troll, and give people an opportunity to show their dissatisfaction by actually going out.
But does Rhino Party have a connection with the longest ballot, or the Rhino Party is the one who is running longest ballot?
It's the longest, so it's actually more like the longest ballot people reached out to the rhinos, and then there's sort of like a two ships crossing, and then at that point the rhinos said, "Oh, we'll certainly advocate for this and push this forward because this is kind of right up our MO." So it was actually more like, the long ballot was its own thing, and then the rhinos got it, and that kind of was a catalyst for it to really grow quickly. That was a big turning point, because I think for a while the long ballot, while slightly long, wasn't as long until Sebastian threw his name on, and then all of a sudden it went from like about 10 or 12 up to the 80 that it ended up being. So it was more of the long ballot people reached out to the rhinos.
So are you going to put your name in LaSalle by-election?
We'll see, Sammy. We'll see what the great, I guess an insider scoop. I'll let you know. I'm still mulling it over. There's a part of me that wants to do it, but do it all in bad French. So I'll do my entire campaign I'm from Alberta, born and raised. I took French class until high school. I took the last grade 12 French, but mon français est très mal. Je parle très mal français. Je parle un bien Alberta français, but mon français est très mal. But there's a part of me that wants to run my campaign entirely in French, which would be kind of fun. So we'll see. We'll see what that by-election holds.
But you can speak French fluently.
Non, je ne parle pas français fluent. Je suis un poor français person.
You were born as a native, native English speaker. You had the opportunity to learn French, but you missed the opportunity.
I took French. I took French all the way through. I was bad at it though, Sammy. I got all the way through the grade 12. I got French 30, but I passed it with like a 53. So like I'm kind of aware of the concepts of like that. Oh, if we're talking about you, we use vous if I don't know you, and then it changes to an EZ at the end. Like I'm somewhat aware. Nous is we, or vous, allez, je ne sais pas. Like I have some general, but I didn't study it well.
Is it difficult to learn?
Is it
more difficult to learn than English?
Well, it's not really for me to know, because I'm an English speaker, so it's like, of course it's harder. Like it's just, I think from what I've been, because I've been trying to learn a couple of other things and figuring it out, but from what I can understand, it's like if you learned French, it would be easier for you to learn Spanish than English. Right? Because your brain is already kind of set up in that kind of language structure, right? Spanish and French have a lot of similarities. Versus if I wanted to learn a language, I might actually do better in something like German, which is because English is more of a Germanic language. We have everything's structured similarly. I would just have to learn like there's a couple of rules, but that would be a little bit easier. So it's tough to learn from English to French, as it would be for French to English. But French people could learn Spanish easier than I could learn Spanish, and I could probably learn German easier than, it's the joys of English is a nightmare, to say the least.
Okay, let's come back to LaSalle by-election. I'm just curious to know, like, why Rhino Party won't be serious to run just one candidate and get the support from the longest ballot. To just run one serious candidate to maybe make an impact or spoil liberal vote in this by-election to give them a tough time.
Well, I think nobody cares, nobody notices when it's just one person running, right? Like if
Mm.
you look at the amount of votes that the long ballot people got, they got over 1,000, right?
Yeah.
And that was like all combined. And I think that that speaks a little bit more than somebody. Yeah, if a rhino runs on its own, I don't think people are going to really. It might get, if there's a big push, might get like 200 votes,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 300 votes.
Yeah.
But then lots of people will be like, I don't, like, there's something about the spectacle
Mm-hmm.
of a long ballot. I wish I was there. I had a friend reach out to me and said, "Oh my God, I saw the ballot and my jaw dropped. Like it was like I audibly said, what the F, right? Like you're like, oh my gosh, look at how big this ballot is." And I think
Mm-hmm.
that there's a spectacle attached to that. And I think that nobody will talk about it. Rhinos have been running since 1967 and nobody really cares until something crazy happens, right? Like running a candidate that has the same name as another candidate. Then people are like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I think that's the long ballot, is at least there's something that pulls people in. And I
Yeah.
think it gets a discussion going too about the
Mhm.
absurdities of our
Yeah.
political system.
Yeah, you are right. Like CBC got their coverage, and National Post also wrote in a story about that. I think Sebastian comments were there. Brian, there is another Brian. He was in Toronto Sun, but now he's
Pacific.
National Post columnist or reporter. I think he's something like that
Yeah.
there. But he wrote that story, and he gave a comment to Sebastian that I did not know that you are also like that. The way he dressed up now. So he's just like that. So he just gave a tweet on there. I had an interview with Sebastian with respect to last by-election, but suddenly my internet got off. There was a disruption. So I missed that interview and he said that he had a plan. I don't know where he was going. Then we did not came back, but it was a great talk. We had a great discussion, but I did not hear him back. Then I just sent an like email last night to getting him on my podcast to see what's plan he has. I don't know will he show up or maybe you need to send an email to recommend him
Oh,
appear on Sami Parvez show.
I can send him a reminder. He likes doing this stuff anyways. He's a neat guy.
Hmm.
Be prepared for your interview to go crazy and go
Yeah.
off the rails. So
Hmm.
um uh, yeah.
Yeah, but I just want to make a point as you were saying there would not be any impact without like longest ballot, if those folks did not run like 78 people or whatever, like but it means the longest ballot got more votes than the Green and People's Party, like I think Green, I don't know, like they how many 600 or something like that they got, and the People's Party just got around like 223 something. But like longest ballot got like 900 votes. Maybe they spoil liberal, like, but I believe something that happened in Montreal as well because we saw in Toronto St. Paulo. We will see it in LaSalle.
Yeah, I think it'll be neat to see. We'll see how big it gets, of
Mm-hmm.
course. If it's because now everybody's like, how big can it get? Can it break 100? Like, what's going to happen if it does that and all that jazz? So we'll see. If it's not as big, I don't think that obviously I don't think there'll be enough of a discussion about it. But um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It still hasn't been called yet. Should be
Yeah.
called soon.
Yep.
And then we'll get pitter patter and getting back at her. We'll have so much to talk about then too, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah. There will be more candidates to appear on Sami Parvez show. I
So
had the opportunity.
I'll get everybody. You'll have 78. You'll have 1,000 people to interview, and you'll be the number one stop for everybody who wants to see what the candidates are up to.
Yeah, and Sebastian was saying that he had an interview with, I don't know, like CTV or National Post. They just gave a like a 15 or 30 words comment. My was there. It was, he said that it was a 15-minute interview, 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's
I
about right.
said, yeah, I said in my show, whatever you will say, that will appear on my podcast. That is my rules, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to share?
I guess talking to briefly, we can also super briefly touch on the U.S. stuff too, super quick. I think it's been talked to death. But one thing I do want to say is that in
Yeah.
Alberta,
Hmm.
nothing too crazy. But Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, is starting to make a lot of silly mistakes.
Hmm.
Uh, she the big controversy is that she accepted tickets to the hockey game mere months after changing the lobbyist regulation for
Wow.
gift giving.
Hmm.
And so she got tickets to the hockey game. She's getting lots of money and sort of gifts that are taken behind after signing legislation, which was a guess that I was like 100% sure on. When you start to loosen that, all those backroom deals start happening, which is irksome to say the least. I don't like it. I don't like lobbying. I don't like lobbyists. I don't like it when elected people get little gifts. I think that that's bad.
Yeah.
I don't like it when elected leaders meet with union leaders without disclosing what's being discussed. I think that's bad. I think that if you're a publicly elected official, you should disclose where you're getting these gifts from and that you shouldn't be getting gifts in the first place. You shouldn't be getting things like that. And then particularly from organizations that you might give, broker deals with and everything like that. And
Hmm.
that irritates me. And also, yeah, that just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Thank
The
you. Thank
the
you, bringing
irksome.
up. Yeah, I did not hear about this. This is very new to me. Yeah, I need to look it up this one. But do you think? But it seems like this going to cost Daniel Smith the next election because they just recently uh, uh appointed a new leader in the, Alberta NDP, Ninshi. So
Menchie.
yeah, Ninshi was former mayor of Calgary, but it seems like it will make an impact. I don't know what will happen until then. Maybe Daniel Smith will resign before that. Something may happen.
No, Alberta's kind of stuck. Like Danielle Smith could like kick a puppy and kill it, and then she'd still do fine. Like I don't think a lot of people particularly care. It's sort of the Alberta way. Stick with this person. It's irritating because if Justin Trudeau was to accept, you know, hockey tickets to businesses, that would probably cause a lot of consternation.
Yeah,
But when Danielle Smith does it, and I think that's what it's going to be. Nenshi is an interesting choice because he's got a firebrand, like he's very passionate.
yeah,
But when you're mayor of a city for a long time, you make a lot of enemies,
yeah,
right? And particularly a place like Calgary. And
yeah,
I know what the NDP are hoping to get inroads into Calgary because really in Alberta, if you want to form government in Alberta, you have to win two out of the three
yeah,
areas, right? You have to win either Edmonton and Calgary
yeah,
or Edmonton and rural Alberta. If you win those, you win the province. There's three
yeah,
things out of the three. If you win two of them, you'll win.
yeah.
And that's kind of the hope is that Nenshi will get full Calgary,
Mm,
win all of Edmonton, win most of Calgary,
mm,
and get that little push towards a majority.
mhm,
Um, but when you're a mayor for a long time,
mhm,
there's so much dirt that'll
mhm,
be brought up. And I think that Alberta is, it's notorious
mhm,
for electing one thing for forever. It's
mhm.
like back from like the 1905 to like the 20s was the United Farmers of Alberta,
Yeah.
and then the Social Credit Party was from like like mid late 20s to the 60s, and
Mhm.
then the 60s until the 2010s was uh the Progressive Conservatives,
Yep.
and now we're kind of having this little wishy-washy thing. I think Danielle Smith will be fine which irritates me. It bothers me. You sign a legislation to give yourself to loosen gift giving and immediately jump on that. Stupid. Not a fan.
But I also need to bring up there are some speculation, but I think this time they are very true that Joe Biden will step aside in a Democratic presidential nominee because I don't know who will come up, but there are some thoughts that Kamala Harris will will be nominated candidate, but I don't think so because she is also unpopular like Joe Biden. Maybe they will bring up someone.
I think the Democrats just need to sit down and say we're doing this, and just because this speculative nonsense is driving me off the wall. I think it was like Bill O'Reilly or who was it? There was somebody on Twitter that posted how like right after the debate, Biden's stepping down. He's stepping down imminently in the next 3 days. And of course, he doesn't do it. And then we hear, oh, this is happening now. There's the speculation. But now Hillary Clinton is coming in saying we have to stand with Joe Biden. And you're like, just everybody get together and say, all right, we're doing this. And then just get rid of this because that's always going to be a thing that bothers and speculates, right? Like how united are the Democrats? You're hearing some people saying, Joe's our guy. We're going to ride or die with old Biden, right? You're like, okay. And then the next people are saying, oh, we got to get rid of him. You need to have like a consensus and just do it. Like, just go for it. And I know that like Harris isn't necessarily as popular, but she was a cop. And I think that helps, or like a police related, like a DA. Like, so there's somebody that people like, if you're sort of a more right-leaning person, she was charging people or she was getting people sent to jail for drug possession. Or like, okay, this is great. Like that's somebody that it doesn't take too long. Like at this point, just figure something out. Like if you're the Democrats, just everybody's all on board. We're getting rid of Joe. And then everyone goes, okay, because this is not working out particularly well. This is he, isn't he? And then by the time it's all said and done, but yes, it does seem like the big rumbling is that in the next like 2 days, he might step down.
Yeah, but there are some like speculation, like he will announce this Sunday. But like I was reading another report, I think it was in CNN, if I'm not wrong. They were saying Biden was planning to run in 2016 election, but not Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and then there was another like senator, I don't know who was that. They did not allow Biden to run. They said let Hillary Clinton to run. Like at that time the poll was saying like the same, like Hillary Clinton is the lead of 9 points. But at the election day, we saw what happened. It was a shock for the world. No one was predicting it. But the thing is, we don't know. Like the source telling CNN that it means that they were told like this in 2014 and 15. But we saw what happened in 2016 on election night. But we would see the same thing now. But the time has changed. But I don't know, like Trump will like it means he will take this assassination attempt as an advantage to get more attraction. But if they would change their nominee, the Democrats, maybe things will change. No one knows. If they would bring a solid candidate with no poor record from past, they will do it. Like Trump announced recently the VP. He was also against Trump in the past. He said he compared Trump with Hitler. He said no one should vote for Trump. Suddenly he appointed such a candidate.
Yeah. Well, right after the assassination attempt, I told my friends, I was like, because everyone's saying like, oh, it's definitely over. That's what everyone's going to be talking about this for the next. And I'm like, I have a feeling that the media cycle will, in a week, everyone will move on and go on to the next thing. And that's already, it feels like that's what's happening. It seems like everybody, there was that brief amount of, our rhetoric is very inflammatory, and we need to get back to speaking nicely and politely about our opponents. And now it's immediately gone back to everybody's accusing everybody of being Hitler again. And you're like, okay, like it's nuts. It's actually quite remarkable how short the attention span is of the regular average person, because it is. You're like, this an assassin, and already everybody's like, all right, we'll see if Biden and we'll see what's going to happen next. And this went really well, right? Like, we'll see if what takes place, like if you get a new nominee, does the news immediately, all right, Trump almost got assassinated. Let's focus on this. And now voila, you have like a new lease on life kind of thing, right? So we'll see what takes place. But yeah, or you stick with Biden and everybody continues talking about, is Joe capable enough? And then he has like one good speech and everyone's just like, holy mackerel, this guy seems to have it all together, right? Or like, what happens, right? What would happen if they're like, we're sticking with Joe Biden, and then the next 3 months he is on point, he is focused, and he's just like whooping ass. You'd be like, what? Like, and then that would be what everybody talks about, right? Like, I think it's interesting. I said that despite an assassination attempt, everybody's kind of gone on to the next thing, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, but I think they need to appoint a new candidate. The things will change, and also they need to look up for a new VP. Kamala Harris should not stay because she did not do very well it means she's not doing very well since she was elected. But we will see. And as you said, like, things will change as Trump's assassination report, now it is done, and now we are moving up.
It is a remarkable thing how, and we don't know like what next week could happen, right? Like, Biden could just die. He has COVID. Like you could just, if Biden just dies, the sympathy, oh my God, like everyone will be like, oh geez, Willikers, right? Like and now all of a sudden, the whole new thing happens, and you're like, oh my God, like, and then how Trump handles that. If Biden croaks, is Trump going to sit down and be like, listen, this is an A-OK thing. He's in heaven now. Now we can get America great again. Great again. America's going to be fine. And like have no like sympathy, right? And how's that going to look to people, right? Now you're like, oh my goodness, like anything can happen. And it'll be cool to see what takes place. It is not a boring time. Usually summer, even like the summer before the United States presidential election, things don't really start to hammer up until like September is when it's like pedal to the metal. There's still a lot happening, and it's quite a thrill. It's quite a thrill.
Okay. So I will just leave it here for today. Donovan, it was a great chat with you, great discussion, lots of information, and we have more to say upcoming days and weeks and months until we have a new US president and maybe a new prime minister in Canada.
Could be. There could be a lot of things happening. Do you want to do a quick would you rather before we go?
Yeah.
I want to do a would you rather.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay. No, that's fine. I just want to end it on something a little bit light after talking about all this political stuff.
Yeah.
Would you rather, Sami, be in charge of the national budget for a year, or be in charge of national health care for a year?
I think I would be better. I would be charge of budget.
Budget? That's fair. Would you rather attend the signing of the Constitution Act in 1982 or attend the original 1867 signing of Canada becoming a country? Would you rather go for the Constitution Act 1982 or 1867's creation of Canada, Confederation?
Creation of Confederation.
Confederation. Would you rather be a member of the House of Commons or a member of the Senate?
House of Commons.
House of Commons? You wouldn't want to be a senator? That's fair. And that's it. I just want to do a quick little would you rather bam bam there. Sami, thanks again for having me. There'll always be something to talk about. So we'll like next we could figure out what the next thing is. See you eventually. I love doing this.
Yeah, see you again, and you take care until then.